Thanks for tuning in. Today we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 5. This will be a spoiler discussion, so if you don't want things spoiled for yourself and you haven't watched the episode yet, make sure you watch it and come back and enjoy the show. Let's get started. Episode 5 starts off with us just continuing our way through Seattle as we sit in the woods in Seattle. Now, there's a very heartfelt story told at the beginning of Episode 5 by Mrs. Park, who's part of the WLF, and she's explaining to the leader, I forgot her name, but she comes into their office and she's like, so what happened in the basement of the hospital? She's like, we had some suspicions that something was going on down there. I sent my best group of guys down to the basement level 1 first. They cleared that whole area, actually didn't find anything, which was surprising. They proceeded to go down to basement level 2, and this is where shit kind of hit the fan. Mrs. Park actually sent Leon, who is her son, down there. She said that he was one of her best soldiers and trusted him the most with this operation. So they were sent down there to see what was going on, and immediately they discover spores, like all over the walls, the ground. I mean, everything around them is just covered. So he radios in and he's just like, they're everywhere. Spores are on the wall, the doors, I mean, you name it. Everywhere you look around, it's just infested down here. A few minutes later, he radios in again. And at this point, you can barely understand him. Like, he can barely breathe. And he's basically trying to tell his mother that it's in the air. So you breathe in the oxygen and you breathe out the spores. That's basically what's happened to these people, and they are basically being tortured because they're still alive down there in the process of this somehow, and just rotting away, stuck in these spores. It's really pretty tragic. And on top of that, she had to make the decision, send someone down there to try to rescue her son or seal the thing off to save the community. And she did the heroic thing, sealed off the basement. Unfortunately, her son was sealed off in there as well and had to sacrifice him for the good of the community. So, a hell of a way to start this episode. A very heartfelt story, and you got to feel for her, because that is a brutal way to lose a kid. I must say, I'm quite impressed with how much they were able to fit in this episode too, because with only 2 episodes left, it was really kind of struggling to figure out where they were going to leave this off. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't played through The Last of Us Part 2 fully since 2020 when it came out. I've kind of played halfway through a couple times since then. And I remember most of the story pieces, but some stuff is still a little bit foggy just because I haven't touched it in a while. But anyways, next part takes us back to Ellie and Dina, and they're back at the theater, and they're basically trying to map out an attack plan to get to the hospital, and get more information, trying to find Abby. So Ellie comes up to Dina. She's basically mapping out using this triangle method of how they're going to approach and attack these quarters that are being patrolled, heavily patrolled. Dina continues on to kind of work with that because Ellie's no help. And she starts to wander off and just kind of explore. And she goes into the theater room, finds a guitar. How does she always find a guitar too? Seems like she's finds a guitar everywhere she goes. Anyway, she sits down and actually starts playing the first song that Joel ever played for her. If I ever were to lose you. And you can just see the look on her face as she kind of pieced it together, what she was saying in that moment, and then the reality of what's taken place. And she's still heartbroken. Shortly after that, Dina comes in and says, I got the game plan. So they sit down and she shows the map. And basically, they have these patrol towers, and they're lined up all across this wall. And there's one section in the middle that's kind of opened up. And they're like, okay, so why aren't they patrolling that area? It's got to be infected or what. But, they're thinking maybe it's not a horde down there, so that's probably their best way of entry, kind of going underneath the radar. It's sketchy, and they don't know most about it because it's an unknown building, unmarked, but it seems like their best way to get into the hospital. So that's their game plan, and they're sticking to it. So Dina and Ellie continue to make their way to the hospital, to this unknown building. And along the way, Dina kind of stops and she's like, I never told you how I killed my first person. And man, there's just so much tragedy in the story of The Last of Us. And this is just another example. She's like, everyone kind of has their messed up story, so why not tell mine? And she's like, I grew up in this small little cabin in San Antonio with my mom and my sister. It was pretty boring for the most part. They were very sheltered, kept me in, didn't let me go out a lot. And she's like, one day when I was 8 years old, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna go outside and play. And she went outside and took a gun with her as well. So she proceeds to go outside and explore and play, and comes back to her house only to find a raider had broken in and actually killed her mother and her sister. And as an 8-year-old girl, she had to sit there and shoot this raider and take his life. And that's how Dina killed her first person. And basically, her and Ellie share this moment because she tells Ellie this story because she's trying to prove a point, like, regardless of the raider, if my family had done something to them beforehand, if they came in and just brutally murdered my mother and my sister in front of me, I would hunt them down for the rest of my life. So she's like, if you want to turn around, we can, but I think we should press on. And Ellie's like, I agree. Let's keep it moving. So, as Dina and Ellie enter this unknown building, quote unquote, I had my suspicions of what might be in this building. And that's actually not what happens, but if you played the game and they're mentioning rats and things of that nature, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm really hoping they include it in the show. I don't know if it's going to be a season 1, season 2, or what, but I was like suspicious if they were going to bring it out in this episode. But anyways, that's not what happens. Dina and Ellie go in here, and everything's like super quiet, kind of eerie. They really don't know how to feel about the situation and the environment up until this point. They proceed in very cautiously. There's light coming in the windows too. And then all of a sudden they kind of hear this. It's not a clicker. It's not one of the normal infected. It's the stalkers. And they're like, okay, it's one. We can handle one. Let's split around. One person go after it. Let it follow the other person. We're going to sneak up behind it, flank it, stab it in the neck. Okay, let's do it. As soon as they start to embark on that plan, 3 other ones pop up. Then they notice like 3 other ones behind them, and the next thing they know, they're surrounded by like 12 of them. Kind of screwed at this point, and they're like, let's go back the way we came. Let's get out of here. And she's like, we can't. If we run, we're screwed. So Ellie basically tells Dina to go in this electrical cage and lock herself in there. She's like, let me get bit. I can handle it. I can take more punishment. You're pregnant. Go in there. Save yourself. I'm going to try to sacrifice myself for you, or just get us out of the situation. And they completely get overwhelmed. Ellie takes out as many as she can, but eventually gets taken down, and it's about to get taken out. Both of them are. I mean, they're ripping apart the cage that Dina's in. And all of a sudden you see this shadow casted, this figure walking in. Boom. No, it's not Joel. It's Jesse. Jesse, to save the day, he's coming in with a AR or some kind of assault rifle and just taking them out left and right. Gets Dina and Ellie out of there. And he's pissed about the whole thing too. It's not just like, hey guys, how's it going? He's like, no, you guys snuck off. We had to leave the next day. Lets them know that Tommy went with them and actually split when they got to Seattle to cover more ground. But he's not happy, but he gets them out of there. And then the WLF starts shooting at him, and they make their way into the park. Now from here, the WLF officers actually stop chasing them into the park. And they're just kind of sitting there like, oh shit, why are they not coming in here? Like, is there infected, or is there, like, what's in these woods? And they quickly find out it's the scars. And they come across a WLF officer who has actually been captured, and they brutally murder him in front of them, like literally guts coming out and everything. Very graphic. And the next thing they know, they discover that Jesse and Ellie and Dina are there, and they start hunting them down, the scars do. Ellie decides to break off to kind of distract them, bring them in different directions. He's like, get Dina back to the theater. So Jesse and Dina go back the other way. Ellie ends up hiding by this tree and losing the scars. And then she looks over, like, over her shoulder, and she's like, oh, that's the hospital. Never mind, I have a little pit stop before I'm going back to the theater. And makes her way to the hospital. Now, the whole reason Ellie wants to go to the hospital is because she knows Nora is there. Nora is actually the girl that was holding down Ellie while they were murdering Joel. She proceeds to sneak her way in through this like little hole past the guard dogs and everything, and finds Nora and confronts her. And she's basically just like got this sinister look on her, and she's just like, remember me? Yeah, you do. Maybe you should have killed me when you got the chance. And the lady's just, Nora's just like, we let you go. And like, do you even know what he did? And she kind of messes with her a little bit, kind of pokes the bear a little bit, because Nora's like, you know, sometimes at night I still hear his screams. It was awful the way he died, but that little bitch still deserved it. And then Ellie just loses her shit, and then she throws some kind of like chemical on her, I don't know, apple cider vinegar or something, and then takes off. Ellie starts chasing her. Nora actually jumps in the elevator shaft, heads down to P2, which takes us back to the beginning of the episode where the spores broke out. Ellie goes down there, immediately finds the spores, and then finds Leon, which is so tragic just to see him down there, still alive and breathing, stuck, suffocating, suffering. It's just heartbreaking. She proceeds forward. You know, obviously she can't get infected, so she's good. And then eventually finds Nora, traps her in this corner. Nora's like on the ground, like, you idiot, like, you chased us back here and now we're both gonna die. And Ellie's just like, oh really? Like, walking up to the camera. Where's Abby? And Nora wouldn't give her the information, and then proceeds to tell her what Joel did. And Ellie's just like, I know. I don't care. And the rage in her eyes. In the game, it actually gives you the option to kill her or let her go. I think I ended up killing her in the game. But Ellie, you know, not getting the information she wants, where Abby is, looks over. She's like, oh, a crowbar. Okay. Or it's like a lead pipe. She's like, where's Abby? And Nora just goes, no. She's like, boom! Ellie just starts hitting the shit out of her leg, just repeatedly, over and over again, brutally destroying her leg. And then basically just like cuts off that scene, just her seeing red. So the cycle continues of the violence and just the destruction and the chaos of The Last of Us Season 2. And it ends with a scene of Joel coming in. This is like a flashback scene of Joel coming in, checking in on Ellie. A little heartwarming scene after some extreme violence to end the show. But overall, pretty damn good episode. I've enjoyed these last 2 episodes pretty good. I only got 2 episodes left now. I'm excited to see where they take it next. I'm surprised. I wonder if they're going to show Abby anymore this season too, or if they're just going to bring her back in next season. But like always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Stay blessed, my friends.